My name is Susannah Kennedy, and my book is Reading Jane, A Daughter's Memoir. This book is about my journey in reading my mother's diaries after she chose to end her life in a rather inexplicable way. My mother was always very opinionated, very interesting, kind of a crazy public figure in the San Francisco school district. And she felt very strongly that people should not live past 75. So we always thought, she's just kidding. And we didn't really pay much attention to it. But 75 came and she took her life. Yeah, and then I was cleaning out her beautiful apartment and found, opened up a trunk, and in that trunk were all her diaries from 45 years. And I remember thinking, I was shutting the trunk and panicking and feeling like I was touching poison. My friends who were with me said, they said, we'll pack it all up. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything with it now. So they did. Thank God for friends. And 3 years went by where I just couldn't think about these diaries. I didn't want to, but they were always there, lurking in the background. Reading Jane came about because I eventually decided I have to read these diaries. Maybe there's an explanation in there. Maybe there's something that I didn't know. Maybe she had a weird illness, or maybe I had another father that she never told me about. I don't know. I was reluctantly started to read. And out of that, as I read, I started to remember that I had not remembered my childhood. I didn't remember anything before age 6. And so through that, I started to write down my stories about my memories. And from that, it evolved into a book. My mother's narrative differed from my narrative really from the beginning, though I didn't know it. Well, what happened as I was reading the diaries, I would go out every morning. I'd make myself a little cup of coffee and I'd go out to my little writing nook and just open the diaries and keep reading and make notes. And what started to happen was I would feel tense, or I would feel my head would start pounding, or I would get all this tension up into my ears and in other parts of my body, and find myself to be very uncomfortable and very feeling panicky almost. It started to be somewhat similar to what I guess people say panic attacks, anxiety I started to have, which I really had never had. Very uncomfortable, very scary, because I, at the time, didn't realize the connection. So I thought there was something else going on with me. And as I went through it and began to understand, this has something to do with what I'm reading every day. I think Reading Jane tells the story about parenting and choices and the ability to look at our influences. I'm always surprised that people think the past doesn't matter. Oh, it does, but sometimes in ways we don't understand. And this book, I think, will speak not only to women, but especially to women, because I know a lot of women have, complex relationships with their mothers or their daughters. And so hopefully this book will allow them to sort of think a little bit about their own relationships. So the curiosity to go into the past, and even though it's hard, it really is hard sometimes, is absolutely worth it. You need help. You can't do it by yourself often. You need friends or partners who will be supportive if you're crying every day, and therapy and movement, whatever you need to do, meditation, yoga, athletic exercise, quiet. All that is necessary, but it's absolutely worth it. And if you don't, and you're trying to suppress something really hard, really heavy, it will come back. It'll come up there. You'll feel symptoms. You will. And then you can take a pill, or you can, do something else. But much better for you is to go through the process. And I promise, with the right help, you will come out the other side. And you will feel good and happy. I have tried very hard to be a mother that's different from my own mother and how she mothered me. And the challenge with her suicide and then the discovery of the diaries and the reading of them was to face this fear of mine of, oh my God, maybe I'm just like her. Maybe I've overlooked something. Maybe I think I'm doing it right, and actually I'm not. So that is what I wrestled with in writing this book. And in the end, yes, I feel very confident that I'm a very different kind of mother to my children.